Hey, everybody. My name is Frank Klesitz. Welcome to Keeping It Real. You're with Lisa Chinatti today. And Jason, right?
Yes, sir.
Ah, that's right. Hope I got your name correct. So I want to thank you all for being here. Lisa was on the show years ago and is probably one of the most popular guests on Keeping It Real. So if you go to keepingitreal.com, all right, and go search Lisa's name, okay, you'll see one of the more popular shows that we've done where she dropped what she was doing for direct mail with a postcard back at the time. I mean, just since that interview, again, I probably know when it was. It was years ago. All right. Tell us where your team is at now as far as production and size, Lisa.
So today, it's fascinating. Right before we started filming this, we were in a staff meeting, right? And I was sitting in the back. I don't run staff meetings anymore. They just took that away from me. They did. And there were 25 W-2 staff members in the staff meeting, which is bigger than the team was when we filmed that first Keeping It Real back in, I think it was August of 2017.
It's double what the team even was.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
So we have about 25 W-2 staff members, just about 100 1099 agents. Last year we did 985-ish transactions for just over $500 million in volume.
You just took it and slayed it to build a giant team.
Yeah, it's been fun. And it's been
fun. That's one way of saying it. Yeah.
It's been a journey. We were just chatting again before this about kind of where the goals are for this year. And really when we had an operations meeting a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, and we set our 10-year goal. So by 2031, we're going to sell 10,000 homes in one single year. And then we broke that down into looking at the number of agents that it will take, the number of offices, the number of staff that we'll have to increase to get there. But everything is now broken out to get to 10,000 homes in one calendar year before 2031.
That is some big thinking, Lisa. You guys are going to be on an interesting Keeping It Real today for sure. And what you're going to hear is what's working to generate listing leads at scale. We're obviously in a very low inventory market, and we're going to cover that. So a couple of housekeeping things before we start. You go to keepingitreal.com. All right, you'll watch all the previous shows. We also are live on many different streaming sites. We can go to the Real Geeks Facebook page where you can watch that there. It's also going to be posted in the Real Geeks Facebook group. You can also go to iTunes and you can listen to the show, which we posted there once we're all done. And if you go to keepingitreal.com and put your email address in, we'll just give you notifications of the show, nothing else, of when we have new shows coming out of interviewing top agents around the country, what they're doing to make money in real estate. And clearly, Lisa is making a lot of money in real estate. She has found that probably when you start getting into the upper teams, that the real certainty and predictability comes with numbers of building the team really as large as you can. You decide to get over that hump of typically 20, 30 agents to get over that hump to get to like 100, right? Yeah. So that's maybe a whole other discussion. I mean, there's lots of things we can interview today, but the title of today's Keep It Real is how to find listings in a low inventory market. So before the show today, we have your 5 lead sources for listings. I'm going to give them to the audience right now so they can write them down so they know where the interview is going to go. And these are in no particular order of best to worst. It's just here's 5 of them. Sound good? Okay. So you told me that a big part of your business is online home value leads of people requesting what their home is worth. Yeah. You said a big part of your listing business right now is circle prospecting and door knocking around listings or pendings or closeds, right? You also generate a lot of buyer leads. And if you're strategic about the ads and your follow-up, you're going to find a lot of people have a home to sell before they can buy. Is that correct, Lisa?
Absolutely.
All right. The next is Google local services. You keep hearing about this. We want to talk about Google local services. You're saying you're getting some real nice come list me calls off of that. How many reviews are you up to these days, by the way, Lisa?
I think just shy of 400.
That's probably one of the reasons. All right. And then finally, agent to agent referrals, but probably hopping on and doing shows like these, which is one of the benefits of being a guest on Keeping It Real, if you wish to be interviewed by me. All right. So we're going to go through all of those. So Lisa, are you ready for an interview today?
Let's do it. Yeah, we're all in.
So let's talk first about home value leads. These have been around a long time, running Facebook ads, maybe Google pay-per-click ads, where it's like, do you want to know what your home is worth? Home values are up. Click here, and it goes to some type of landing page, some type of web form where they ask you to put in their address. And then maybe after the address, it asks some more information. And hopefully, if the service is legit and it's like kind of like an actual service that gives them a home value, but just spits them out something, but they're probably not maybe happy with it or it's not very accurate. So you follow up to help them get maybe a more accurate value, which leads to a conversation about possibly selling it. Did I pretty much nail it there, Lisa?
100%. Yep.
All right. So my first question is, if you're getting so many home value leads, how are you generating traffic to the page?
So we're heavy into Google pay-per-click, but it also gets generated by Google My Business, right? All of the Google services kind of tie in together to driving the traction there. We do a lot with retargeting, which also drives traffic back there. And then a lot of email work through our database, driving traffic back there.
Got it. All right, let's break that down. So you've invested in a Google My Business page. What would someone have to type in with the city for yours to pull up on the right-hand side if someone was searching you right now?
Chelmsford, Mass would be a quick and easy.
What is it?
Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
Will you spell that? CHUM
C-H-
for the country.
CHELMSFORD.
Perfect. I would have misspelled that. So Massachusetts Chinatti team?
Chinatti, yep.
Chinatti team. Sorry, I apologize.
Got the one.
My last name's Klesitz. People butcher my last name all the time. All right.
I get it. I get it.
So it's going to show up on the right-hand side. I'm assuming I'm going to see a bunch of pictures there. I'm going to see, what will I see in your Google My Business profile?
Yeah, so we have a ton of pictures of all of our past listings. Everything is geotagged through. Right?
How many?
Hundreds?
Thousands.
Yeah, you might have 1,000 photos of past listings geotagged.
Yeah.
What does geotag mean?
So they're tagging it with the location of where the house is located, along with some other geographies that kind of tie into where we're selling homes. In order,
Wow.
The whole goal, right, is to prove that we are the local experts, because Google loves everything hyper local, right? They want to know that it's not just Boston or not just Massachusetts or not just New England, but that we actually do business in Chelmsford, that we do business in Tewksbury, that we
You have
do
1,000 geotag pictures around that area, so Google knows that you're local there of your listings.
right, yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
What else will I see on your Google My Business page that's unique that makes it stand out?
You'll see a ton of reviews. You'll see some video content. You'll see links to some of our social media profiles and our YouTube channel. You'll see, actually, they post some of our videos directly into the Google My Business profile. You'll see our operating hours. You'll see things that we specialize in and things that we're bragging about.
And you can
That's great.
geotag the videos. So part of that is, if your office is in town A, but you've sold a home in town Z far away, by geotagging it, when people search that town, you're still going to come up, even though your office isn't there, right? And so it's all about generating more exposure, more eyeballs, more opportunity.
That's great. How often do you post to your Google My Business? Because it's kind of like a blog. You can post there all the time, right?
Yeah, I think our marketing staff is posting there multiple times a week. Is it
Yeah.
daily? It might be if we're really busy, but it's probably at least 3 times a week.
Got it. So people that pulls up and they find out about your home value page through the Google My Business. How do they find out about that through the Google My Business page?
There's links back to our website, right? And one of our home value pages is through our main website, which is Real Geeks. And so if you go there, there's a whole section built out for sellers. Everything you need to know about the market, what's involved with selling, the process, the timelines, our expertise with helping sellers navigate the market. It's all in there.
So now you have AdWords going. Do you
Correct.
know kind of maybe how you run those, when you run them, what some of the keywords are, some of the nuances of your AdWords campaigns?
Yep. So we do a lot based upon, again, it's a lot of geography. One of the big changes that we made this year, and that's still kind of being worked out, is that we went back through the past 4 years of generated home value leads. And we actually got super granular on conversion and looked at how many of our listings originated from home value leads. What was the zip code where they originated from? Because it's not always the address that they put in, which is where they either ended up selling or buying. Sometimes the home value leads are generated because somebody's thinking about buying a home and they're curious about what they should offer on that home if they're not working with a super knowledgeable real estate agent, or if they went to an open house and haven't hired their own agent yet. So some of those home value leads are actually buyer leads and they don't end up selling in the market where it came in on. But anyway, so we got super granular. And we looked, and it used to be that we'd look and say, where do we get the cheapest cost per lead, right? That was our old strategy. This year, we actually looked at it and said, what's our cheapest cost per conversion, right? So if we generated 100 seller leads in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts, but we never sold a home from a seller lead in Lynn, even though they were cheap, the cost per conversion was super high. So super granular and looking at cities where we were generating and actually converting. So that was step one. We're using home value as some of the keywords. Seller's agent, listing my home. Goodness, I don't even remember all of them. I've got them broken down into fancy little spreadsheets.
You run them all 24 hours a day?
Yes.
Got it. Wow.
Yep.
And then you can target just that niche area in AdWords, right? Just that town?
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Great.
And we've broken it down. It alternates, right? Like, because our company is so big and we cover such a huge geography, sometimes we're super heavy in New Hampshire. Sometimes we're a little bit more heavy in, say, Greater Boston. And then sometimes we're more heavy out in Merrimack Valley, which is where our headquarters office is, right? So it just really kind of depends.
What are you paying roughly per click and per lead? Just curious.
Yeah, I can get you that afterwards. I have it somewhere. The cost per lead on the seller leads right now actually went down a little bit. It was down to maybe $20 and change, which is insanely low compared to what it had been even 2 years ago. The cost per click, I'm not sure. It might be even cheaper. It might be under $1.
So you have to get 20 clicks to get somebody opt-in then?
Yeah, that's about the ratio.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Wonderful. How many leads does it take you to get a sale? Do you know?
That's a great question. And one of the things, again, kind of looking at data this year super granularly, and the thing to understand about home value leads is the time to conversion actually isn't instantaneous, right? Where we're seeing our biggest conversion right now with our inside sales team and with our agents making calls, it's actually the home value leads that we generated 24 and 36 months ago. So it's super important.
Where did you have the emotional bandwidth to spend that kind of money up front to wait 2 years to get paid?
Yeah, naive, I guess. And I think you always there's always that low hanging fruit, right? Where you get a couple early enough on, but the big conversion is in the long-term play. It was enough to break even in the short-term 12-month, but now is kind of where we're starting to, I think, really see it become insanely profitable.
So you're spending money on the marketing staff.
Yep.
Money's being spent on the Google My Business page and drive traffic there. And people go check it out, see how you do it. Money's being spent on AdWords, really niching out towns for various keywords to drive people to the same page. All right.
Yep.
And then sales management and labor and focus is being spent on your agents. You have 100 agents.
Correct.
Probably getting the word out some way to drive people back. Can you share more about that?
In terms of like retargeting and stuff, is that retargeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, let's actually push that down. Let's now talk about retargeting. So we have Google My Business, we have Google AdWords. Let's talk about retargeting. How do you drive retargeting leads, traffic to your home value page?
So a lot of that is, I think what you're asking is the stuff in our database where we're sending them back. Is that, am I reading?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
your website traffic, your page engagements, and your email list.
So once they come in, it's super easy, right? Once we've got your contact information, you're in our database. Our database right now sits at, over 100,000 leads, right? It's been built up fairly substantially over the past couple of years. And our marketing staff is amazing. Deanna, who runs the department, is the bee's knees. And Spencer, our videographer, is absolutely instrumental to it. So a big part of what we do is having Deanna create twice weekly email blasts that go out through the entire database. Sometimes, and she writes blogs, right? So
God, you're doing 2 a week.
2 a week.
Wasn't that a little scary to go that often? Were you worried that you'd burn your list out going that frequently?
No. If it's valuable content, people want it.
So
right?
that's the key, right? There's still other drip campaigns that run through Real Geeks alongside it. There's still
So they're getting like emailed probably darn near almost every day.
Probably close to it, right? But the
Yeah.
key is, I think, that the emails don't seem canned and they're always coming from a place of value or contribution, right? The emails never say, do you want to buy or sell or work with us, right? It's always just giving, kind of that Gary V jab, right hook.
Mhm.
And the goal isn't to get them from one email to work with you. is to keep yourself front of mind so much that as they're going through the phases of decision making, one day they say, I'm going to buy a house or sell a house. And they've seen all of these emails and they think it's a real person sending them, that they respond or they call.
Oh, no. Yeah. Where can someone see the emails or the videos that you send out?
So our YouTube channel has all of the videos that we put out. You just kind of have to sort through them. You can typically tell what we send out as video content through email blasts would be the market updates, things that are hyper local. And I think what I'll point out too that I didn't state is it's not the whole database. It's not all 100,000 leads being e-blasted every Tuesday and Thursday. It's segmented out, right? So it might be that depending upon, so within Real Geeks, which is, like I said, what we use for our website and our CRM, there's this little section that's called urgency. And we have our agents with sales managers are working to create database integrity, right? So that we know the urgency or the status of where every lead falls in our pipeline. So we might be taking a week where we're focusing on seller leads that have had a listing appointment and but didn't sign, right? And there'll be an email blast that goes out to seller leads that had a listing appointment that didn't sign that were generated between this date and this date, right? Or it could be a seller lead that came in 2 years ago and has just been sitting stagnant. And so we'll send it to that segment of the database. So it's not every lead every Tuesday and Thursday, but it's very intentional with how we're targeting, who we're targeting. And then the magic is in the correlation with having either the agents or the inside sales team watching the engagements that happen. So we're watching who opens it, who clicks on it, who's watching the video or reading the blog post, right? How many times are they opening it? And having the inside sales team or the agents then bring those clients back into active nurture through phone calls and text messaging.
Oh, I love it. So for viral for years, before there was all this, I would just send people the open and click report. Here's everyone that opened the email and clicked the links and called them. And like nobody would. They would rather go make a bunch of cold calls than call on the engagements. And I love hearing that.
Yeah,
right?
but that's where the magic is.
I know
right?
it is. Tell me about it.
I think one of the things that we've found, again, it's a blessing of being as big as we are, though can still be implemented for somebody who's a solo agent or a small team, is agents on the team. We can't dictate what they do, how they do it, when they do it, but the inside sales staff, we can. They're W-2 employees who can have really set KPIs, hours, and standards, which has kind of helped us dive in on getting those calls made and the conversion rates up a little bit more.
Great. So back to the home value leads. Google My Business, AdWords, retargeting through emails. So you're emailing them all the time with stuff. But I would assume they're also getting followed around on Facebook and maybe other platforms. You want to talk a little about that? And now that you're following them around online everywhere once they opt in?
Yep. So those are the banner ads that you see on the side of whether it's Facebook or I'm trying to think of where I've seen myself. Evite, right? When you go into Evite and there's the little banner ads that scroll through.
So you're on that?
There's any place where those banner ads show up that are.
So you're using the Google Display Network for banner ad retargeting.
That's exactly what it is. Google Display. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So we do a lot with Google Display, and that was probably one of the toughest ones for us to implement because there's no direct ROI, right? It's not like we're going to generate leads from the Google Display Network, but it's creating this constant brand recognition and keeping us top of mind.
It really helps your ISA team. So when they're following up and they say your name, like, oh yeah.
Right.
I could usually tell, like if I turn the retargeting off, I don't see any changes in leads, but the guys on the phones are like, what's going on? No one knows who we are right now.
Interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. So retargeting, let's get now into the other way you drive people there is through, you said all of your agents. Your agents are prospecting, making calls, working their lists, bringing people to the home value page.
Yep. So on multiple levels. So within Real Geeks, each agent has their own page built out where they're putting their videos, hyperlinks to other parts of the website and that kind of stuff. So within the agent's email signatures, they've all got the links back to their own personal website. And those have links. So like Jason, if he's
so all of your agents have their own page with their own videos, with their own call to actions just for them, so they can track it to their leads versus going to the company page.
Correct. Yep. And
that's huge. So you have 100 agent pages on your website?
Correct. Yeah. And the magic there, I think, is that the agents get there. So if Jason was an agent on the team, his URL that redirects there is jasonposnick.com, right? So if I was an agent, lisachinatti.com.
Wow.
And then it
So all of your agents have their own domain name, which redirects. That's brilliant. That redirects to their agent page on your website.
Correct. Yeah. And that's part of what our marketing team does with the agents when they onboard. And then after the agent sits with our videographer and creates like their agent highlight video, right? Like that about me.
Yeah. To build out their page so they can market themselves.
Correct. And then they can also use those videos before they go on a listing appointment or before they meet with a new client. They can send the video, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to show up. This is real estate, yada, yada, yada.
That's great. And all of your agents are using the CRM?
Required.
Got it. Wow. Anything else you shared earlier that maybe I missed of how you drive traffic to the home value leads? How many, and then after that question, how many do you generate a month? How many are coming in a month for your home value page?
Probably around 100. It's probably right around 25 a week, but we could do more if we had slightly more bandwidth. So our inside sales team right now is a director and 6 full-time reps. I think we would be fully staffed at 8 full-time reps. So if we had 2 more full-time inside sales reps, I would triple the amount of lead gen that we're doing. We're just a little bit light on bandwidth to handle the leads.
Well, because it's 100 a month, but then there's all the follow-ups from the previous months for 2 years, adding up in the call queue.
Yeah, and there's so much money still to be found in our database, right? With the calls and that's where Jason kind of comes in with managing, really working the database, working on the scripting, right? Because there's some magic that needs to happen with a 2-year-old lead through the scripting and through the conversation to get that 2-year-old lead to really engage.
Are your inside sales W-2 people taking all the way to setting the appointment for the agent?
Yep.
Got it. That's great. So all the appointments are set for the agent with listings.
Unless it was like a buyer lead that the agent got.
Yeah. At least coming in from this channel.
Correct.
From this lead source.
All of these home value leads are going directly to the inside sales team. Again, because we can monitor their follow-up cadence and we can control the scripting a little bit more. And we know that the guys and girls on the inside sales team are held to standards around coming to training. I'm sure anybody watching this knows the struggle of getting a 1099 agent to attend a training.
Yeah.
It's
Jason,
brutal.
I know. Jason, question for you.
Yeah.
When that home value lead comes in, how fast are they on it and how many times do they call it to get a response?
So we used to do something called war dialing when we controlled the time the leads were coming in and who they were going to. Now we try to get it, within 5 minutes is always ideal. War dialing is always ideal, but full transparency, we've kind of
just so you know, war dialing, you call them, they don't answer, you call them again, they don't answer, and you call them a 3rd time in a row. So is it 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, 3.
That's crazy. Hold on. That's crazy.
Yeah, but they answer the phone, they're frustrated, right? Hey, Kevin.
I've heard that before, so I'm not shocked.
Don't confuse my persistence as pressure. Right? I knew that you wanted some help. How can I help?
Now, I just want everyone to hear on this. This seems normal to them. War dialing is normal in your culture, office culture.
Yeah.
That's normal. But to any regular person to call and they don't answer, and then to call again and they don't answer, and then to call again is like psychotic. But that's how you sell 1,000 houses and get to 10,000 houses.
Yeah. Look, here's the deal. Success comes in volume, right? Like, I can call them once, they don't answer. I call them tomorrow, they're not going to answer tomorrow either. More like not, right? An agent said to me the other day with a similar concept, what if I don't get a response? I said, if you call one person and don't get a response, you have nothing. But if you call 99 people, or you call 99 people 3 times each, and one doesn't respond, you've got 99 freaking conversations.
Oh yeah.
Right? It all comes in volume.
So I want the audience to hear, it's a whole other interview on lead conversion. We have dedicated W-2 people on the ball calling as much as they possibly can, multiple times, with emails going out and retargeting going out to do everything you possibly can. I'm sure we can dive into it to get a response and to nurture these people forever. Am I correct, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. All right. And I just love, 1,000%. That's a whole other interview with you, buddy. And Lisa could see the benefits of hiring a sales manager. Do you just manage the inside sales team and the agents, or both? Or I'm just curious on your role.
Yeah.
So you're the agents.
There's 3 other sales managers as well. and an inside sales director. And we all kind of work in tandem
Wow.
to
Yeah.
make sure the ship's going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's great. All right. So that's home value leads. I think we had a really good overview on how to drive that traffic if people want to know what their home is worth. Okay. Number two, you said circle prospecting and door knocking. It never dies. So again, this is just, I would assume, let me just kind of speed things up. Is this when you take a listing, it goes pending or it's sold? When do you trigger the start point?
All of those.
The answer. All right. So you got a listing or coming soon, right? Some excuse. And essentially you're loading up all of the neighbors around the house to call them. And you're also knocking on doors. So I guess my first question is, when you call them or you knock on the door, what's the message to all the neighbors? What do you see?
So it changes based on the touch point, right? So we teach the agents there's 5 touch points for circle dialing. There's when you sign the listing, there's before it goes on the market, there's once you accept an offer, there's the day of the inspection, and then there's when it closes, right? And the conversations are different every time. When you first sign the listing, the touch point is, who do you know that wants
Jason, hold on. In all my years of doing these, I have never heard that. That's
aggressive as
just so you do. In all my years, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it works.
Got it. So there's 5 different triggers to restart the door knocking and the calls, which you gave us, and there's a different message every time.
If I'm a solo agent, I'd build my business off just this with those 5 things. It's that easy.
Oh my
You don't need to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I love you, man.
Right, but so the
Lisa,
message changes. So you've got when you sign the listing, who do you know that wants to live here? Right, very touchy feely, warm fuzzy. Here's who I am. Because you have to get the neighbors to know, like, trust, respect you. So this first
looking
call,
for a buyer. Yep.
Now they know you exist. Second call, it's going on the market. Hey, want to make you aware the open house is this weekend. In case someone blocks your driveway or your mailbox, here's my phone number. Call me and I'll have them move. Again, very touchy feely, and we'll invite them to come to the open house, obviously. Then you accept an offer. Can you believe what they got? Who else do you know that would benefit from this crazy market, right?
Yep.
Day of the inspection, we coach our agents to ask the buyer's agent to have the inspector park in the road, not the driveway. And we'll call beforehand. Hey, guys, we'll make you aware. There's gonna be a truck you've probably never seen before in your neighborhood. It's the inspector for 123 Main Street. Probably be there for like 4 or 5 hours. No worries.
Wow.
The sellers, they're gonna ask another question every time.
God, it's good.
And then the last one, it closes. You have your new neighbors, Lisa and Jason. We're going to throw a housewarming party for them. Would love for you to attend.
I've never heard that. That's so good. No,
I didn't make it up.
I've done like 1,000 of these, and like I've never heard I've heard the war dialing, which is crazy. That's crazy, and that's excellent. And you could take any green agent who's scared to death of sales and get them to do that, can't you?
Yes.
And it scales unlimitedly to build your team because you don't have to buy leads.
1,000%.
Yep.
Right. And it's going after homeowners, which adds a lot of value to get listings.
Yep.
That's great. Curious, where do you get your numbers and your data?
So we use the skip tracer and Mojo for the majority of it.
And then door knocking, you use door knock. How are the contact rates and the phone calls?
So I always say, I look at contact as 2 things, right? A contact to me is they answered the phone and you actually had some level of
you talk to the homeowner and even they said, leave me alone, it's still contact. But actually, what's the percentage of actually get the homeowner to talk to you on the phone?
15%
contact rate? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you calling all the numbers that come back on the script trace, 3, 4, 5 numbers?
The contact rate, the appointment rate is 10% of that. Okay. That's considered really, really good.
How many numbers come back for each homeowner?
So we've seen some come back with as many as 4.
You call them all?
Mojo pulls emails as well sometimes.
Got it. And then are they actually going out and door knocking too?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Does every agent door knock as much as they should? No, but the day of the open house, they're really good about door knocking that.
But the agents are doing this. You don't have W-2 outbound people doing this.
Oh, the agents, yeah.
And COVID was
Explain to me that you guys had to have that discussion.
What?
Do you have the agents do this?
Yeah.
Or do you take it in-house, W-2 it for an outbound team?
No, the agents do it because at the end of the day, especially for door knocking, the person they're going to be working with has to be the person they meet, right? I built a construction sales force to over 100 reps door knocking, and that rep has to be the one door knocking. We tried hiring canvassers, It was never the same impact.
Interesting. So you can from a home value lead, you can take it to an appointment and pass it off, but from a circle prospecting or door knocking, you can't.
Yeah, no,
Because the lead source is different.
Yeah.
Man, that's insightful.
Well, because I think the other thing too is when you knock the door, you want to have some level of conversation beyond just who you are. A canvasser can't do that. They're going to hand a mailer or a postcard, say, this is our company, they're going to call you.
Yeah.
If you're the agent, you can share, you can feel, felt, found them. You can share experiences, right?
Felt, found. I haven't heard that for years.
You can have a whole conversation.
Explain the feel, felt, found formula to people to handle an objection.
Hey, Kevin, I know how you feel right now because you don't know me. I don't know you. I'm on your doorstep. And your neighbors felt the exact same way. What I found was that I'm simply here to introduce myself to you, to be a friendly face. Whatever you need in the real estate space, it's my goal to make the process easy for you. What questions do you have?
I understand how you feel. Many people felt the same way, however I found, right?
Yeah.
That's good. Man, I'm loving it. So we got leads coming all these places for home value leads for sellers. People certainly would know what their home is worth right now. And you have a process for follow-up. Then you have 100 agents that you're saying, they're looking at you saying, what do I do to get listings? Because my database is so small and I don't have any money. You're going to say you're going to do exactly what you shared right here, which shouldn't freak them out too much because it's easy with those messages and those touch points, right? Oh, I love it. Anything else I can ask you that the audience may want to know about how you manage like the door knocking and circle prospecting? And again, just so you know, hold on, I'm sorry, just so you know what circle prospecting means, it's lingo in the space. It's like you take a house and it comes from drawing a circle around it on a map and pulling all the information of the people around that circle and contacting them all. That's where it comes from.
Well, I'll share to that point. So I think one of the biggest failures that we make as salespeople in real estate and sales in general is we pull a circle dial list. We call it once, or even we do all 5 calls and then we don't get the result right away. And we're like, it doesn't work, screw it. Right? But you've got to parlay that with the door knocking and the mailers. It's all one process and no different from an HVL lead being really hot in 2 years. A door knock or a circle dial doesn't take 2 years, but it could take 2-3 months. And so you've got to have a touch plan, a cadence that's in your schedule that you're sticking to from know, like, trust, respect that really takes the client through those phases of decision making. It can't just be one thing.
Good stuff. In five touch points for a circle prospecting or door knocking. I've never heard that. So good. Do you guys drop an email?
So we used to, but as the team has gotten bigger, we've pushed that more to the individual agents to do.
Yeah.
Again, I think one of the big pivots I think we touched upon, I don't remember if it's when we started the live portion of this or if it's when we were chatting beforehand, but going from me being the face of it and knowing that I was going to show up, or having a small team picture and you still know one of the people on that picture is going to show up. It's kind of like the door knocking thing. Being so big, just to put a logo on it feels not personal enough for a consumer to want to interact with that mailing. So what we'll do though is we teach the agents how to do it. We'll run classes for them about how to do mailings.
I've done this stuff a long time, and I got to tell you, the insight that you gave me again that reinforced something that I intuitively knew, but you said it so clearly, is that when you're doing marketing, when you're doing inbound marketing, you can have W2 ISA set the appointment because they responded to you. But if you're doing outbound, it's really, really hard for the handoff from the person that did the canvassing or the outbound to the agent, isn't it? And you guys said I give up on it, even with direct mail.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I personally opened up my mail this week, right? I only bring in my mail like once a week. And so I brought in my mail and I was going through it on my kitchen island. And I had 4 different postcards from 4 different agents marketing to my neighborhood. Ironically, the messaging was the same from all of them. I am the #1 agent in Westford. I've sold more homes than anybody else in Westford. It's all bullshit. But, you've got to have something that's going to stand out if you're going to do direct mail marketing. Mm-hmm. But I think it's, how does the consumer connect with it, right? And they connect with the warm and fuzzy face. And,
right, the personal letter.
Yeah, and I always tell agents, it applies to so many different avenues, right? Consumers don't do business with companies. Consumers do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? And then, like I said, the postcard's got to go out with the picture of somebody that they can relate to immediately, not just a corporate logo.
Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you for all the knowledge. 3, buyer leads. So essentially, let me get the audience up to speed. You're probably wanting pay-per-click ads, maybe Facebook ads saying search for homes or find out what's for sale, or here's some specific types of homes for sale. And typically speaking, the type of ad that generates the best seller leads are trade up ads where it's like, hey, here's a nicer house. Maybe it's time to get a home with a pool or a home office. Check out homes with pools or a home office, right?
Yep.
And all that drives back to the Real Geek site, whether it's the main page or a pre-saved search of that specific type of home.
Correct.
And they start looking at them at some point, and you can probably change when it squeezes them, saying, hey, I'm not going to show you everything you want to know. At some point, you're going to have to give up your contact information or register to save your searches, right? And once they register to save your searches, that's a buyer lead. Did I kind of nail it there?
Correct.
How that works? All right, so let's talk about how do you drive traffic and what are the messages you're putting out and where to get buyer leads that have homes to sell specifically.
So there's a bunch, right? So clearly anything that we do on Facebook to market towards our listings, open house, right? We market all of our open houses for a weekend. We market every new listing as a coming soon, especially in a market that's super low inventory. I know that there's some controversy around the coming soon marketings, given the NAR laws. There are some fancy little workarounds that you can come up with. But so
or the seller just requesting it. Can they do that?
What was that?
Can the seller just request it?
Yes and no.
Yeah, there's a gray area.
There's a gray area. And like I said, there's fancy ways to circumvent it. So those are definitely some of them. The rest of it would be Google pay-per-click, right? That goes an ad. Do you want to know the houses that are for sale in insert city name, right? And that drives back to, like you said, a pre-populated list of all the homes for sale in that city.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very specific URL that just pulls up those search results when they click the ad on AdWords or the top of Google page. Yeah.
Yep. We've also started very, very recently doing some YouTube marketing.
How's that going? I've heard the conversion's been so hard off YouTube ads. I'd love to hear that. Very few people do that.
It's like stupid cheap, right? Like we're talking like pennies.
Yep, a couple cents per view.
Per view.
Which is 30 seconds, by the way, meaning they watch 30 seconds of the YouTube ad, then you're charged a couple pennies.
Correct. Yeah.
So the view is 30 seconds, which is crazy.
Right.
That's a long time. All right.
100%. So I think we're still tinkering with it and trying to figure out how we increase the leads. We've tinkered with like just putting a call to action with a link that they'd have to type in. We've tinkered with a call to action that has a hyperlink built into the ad. We've tinkered with lead forms through YouTube. I don't know exactly where the data is sitting. It's too early. We're, maybe 120 days into really starting that.
Yeah.
And I like to give it 180 days before we even look at it.
I have a tip.
Oh, go.
All right. I'll give you a couple of things on YouTube that can help you out.
Okay.
The best type of YouTube ad is taking them on a tour and showing them.
Okay.
It's so the type of content that works, the camera has to move. So, hey, it's Lisa. I'm here to listing. Come on and let me show you something. Follow me.
Okay.
So the type of video that has to work, it just can't be a talking head.
Yep.
It just needs to be, hey, it's Lisa. I'm here in this local area because you're probably seeing it here locally. So it's hyper local. I'm here, at this house, whatever. Let me show you. Let me demonstrate. YouTube works best when you demonstrate. Come follow me, and the camera moves. Sound good?
Yeah.
So that's what gets the view rate up on the ad.
Okay.
Of the camera moving and taking them through and showing them, especially whatever you're showing them is somewhat local to where the ads are being run. Fair enough. We had someone that was running mastermind ads. Hey, said, let me take you through my whole place, where we're going to mastermind. Outperformed any testimonial ads or talking head ads where the camera was static.
Love it. Okay.
Fair enough. So that's the content. When it comes to the audiences, the very first audiences are loading up all your remarketing audiences.
Yep.
So you have So generally what you do is you have two campaigns. The first campaign, what's a city you want to run an ad in?
Westford.
Okay. The first campaign, you're going to run the campaign for everyone in Westford. And you're just going to hit as many people as you possibly can, going really wide. Hopefully, I don't know if you can still target homeowners or not with real estate ads in there, but the first campaign's targeting very wide for views, low cost per thousand, just hitting everything. But there's one exclusion list you have to remove from all your YouTube videos. Go on Google and find a kids channels exclusion list.
We do know that one.
Okay. And make sure you exclude the thousands of kids channels YouTubes, because it's all the parents giving their phones to their kids, driving up your, oh my gosh, they're watching the whole thing all the way through because they don't want to skip it.
Yep, that
Got
one
it?
we did know.
Got to be able to exclude that, right?
Yep.
Now, here's where you get your leads. That first campaign, just building up a remarketing list at cheap. Sound good? The second campaign is now the offer, still demonstrating, driving to a landing page of anyone who's watched at least 30 seconds of the above campaign.
Okay.
So you have an awareness campaign, offer campaign in an area with videos that demonstrate, no kids channels. Give it a shot.
All right, I'm all in. I'm gonna go talk to my marketing.
You know, it's cool when you start selling 1,000 houses. You know, you have the budget to start playing around with this cool marketing. There's kind of a marketing hierarchy of needs that you have to go through a lot of things like you have before you can start playing with YouTube videos, ads, which is like selling 1,000 houses, right, Lisa?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so you're playing around with some of that. Anything else with buyer leads?
Obviously Zillow, realtor.com, any of those kind of third-party sources. We have a bunch of those as well.
Give me the magical script when a buyer lead comes in of how you figure out they have a home to sell and how you don't scare them. Jason?
Don't focus on selling the home, right? So here's the deal, and this is what I tell every agent is selling is scary, buying is exciting. They went to a home buyer ad.
I like that.
Not a seller ad for a reason, because they're excited to figure out where they're going to go. And what is the number one fear for a seller in this market?
I'll be homeless if I sell.
Where am I going to go? Right?
Yeah.
So the first way to lose them is say, okay, so you know, what's your situation now or motivation? Oh, our house is too small. Oh my God, you have a house to sell? Like, that is the epitome of bad sales, of salesy, right?
Yeah.
Right? The heart chooses, the mind justifies, right? Their heart wants to buy a new home for a specific reason to improve the quality of their life. Focus on that. The single best way to get those buyer leads / seller leads to sell with you, A, focus on the buy. Then B, as you're focusing on the buy, going through a process of discovery, whether it be at a consultation or a showing, you're going to find a fear or a need, a fear of being homeless, a fear of not knowing what they can buy because they don't know what their home is worth, right? Either one of those things could lead to a listing appointment. What projects to do to get their home ready to sell. But you got to lean into the buy side before you go for the sell side. Have to.
Biggest mistake an agent can make is then focusing all on the sell side and not keeping the excitement going.
Of buying the house, the
Yeah.
emotional joy buying the house.
Yep.
Yeah, the
and if
motivation
you're
to
in the
sell is to get them into the new house.
Right. If you were in the buy side business, you're almost 90% of the time you're guaranteed to get the sell side business.
Great. All of these can be separate videos. Talked home value leads, circle prospecting and door knocking, no mail. Interesting line. Buyer leads. All right. Is there any, I guess, well, one last question. Is there any specific messaging in the ads itself that tends to attract more buyer leads that want to sell?
Not that, I
Not that
actually
you focused on?
I haven't looked at the data in that respect. So
That's a great answer.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever gotten that granular.
Have not looked at the data. I cannot comment. Love it. Fourth seller lead source in a low inventory market, Google local services. What is that and how does that work?
So it's not a new product anymore. And it's, I think, very popular and maybe slightly overdone at the moment, but this is where the reviews are super important. So it's you Google realtor in Westford, and it's these little boxes that come up at the top before the pay-per-click ads with a picture and a phone number that basically drive, and it lists the number of reviews and that review rating. And it allows the consumer to pick and then automatically dial in to connect with the agent.
Those just have to be like, come list me leads.
That's what they are. I want to sell my house. When can an agent come over? And we probably get, I mean, you have to sort through a bunch of rental leads, right? But one of the great things to it is figuring out why somebody's looking to rent. Sometimes they need to Sometimes they are somebody calling in because they need to find a tenant and potentially sell. It's a landlord who has a vacancy and may not understand the value of a multi in the market. Sometimes they're renter leads and we don't do rentals, so we just kind of toss those to the side. But probably 3 times a week, we get a straight up phone call that just says, I want to have an agent come over and tell me the value of my home I'm thinking about selling.
And that's been building your reviews
Yeah.
over the years. And that's been building an amazing online presence over the years as they check you out and sleuth the heck out of you versus all the competition. So there's a lot of brand that's built up to make that happen. What do you pay per call or pay per lead on that?
That one's probably the most expensive lead source that we have, and it can be upwards of $150 per phone call. But if it comes in as a rental lead, we dispute it with Google and they refund the money.
Yeah.
So we're really truly only.
But it is pay per phone call.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is very different than pay per lead.
Correct.
Through other sources. So they charge you per phone call and it's logged in their system and it like whispers to you that tells you, I'm assuming when you answer, that it's from Google, right?
It's a dedicated number. These guys know when the phone rings. I don't know that it says that there's.
But you can run it through a system that would tell you that if you had it.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And the key to them is just getting right to booking the appointment, right?
And then that goes to your ISA team. You don't trust the agents with those ones?
We do not trust the agents.
It's not even as much about trust as it is
No time.
ability to answer on the spot,
Yeah.
right? Like the ISA.
What are your ISA coverage hours, man?
8 to 7 or 9 to 7.
7 days?
Yes.
Wow. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week of coverage.
Yeah.
5-minute response time, most likely, if you can try to do it.
So the way that leads get delivered now has changed a little bit for us, but like on the GLS ones, it's immediate. Obviously, it's a phone call.
Yeah.
HVLs nearly immediate. Some of the other sources, it's live connects or whatever. So
What phone system did you double down on to run your call center?
8 by
I'm
8.
just curious. 8x8?
Yeah.
Would you stick with them or go with a new one, knowing what you know now?
I think it's good for what we are still today. I don't think it will scale with us as we continue to build it out. But there's some, for the cost, there's some solid features.
The big
Yeah.
downside to 8 by 8 specifically for the circle dialing and whatnot is you can't change the outbound call number as often as you'd probably like to or should. And so once you've been marked as spam, like these guys phones get marked and then they say no one's answering. And we actually tested it. We had them switch to their cell phones for a day and they were getting answers probably 20, 25, 30%.
Remember.
So
Dude, Zoom just bought Five9 about a year ago. So Five9 is a huge call center. Go check out Zoom Phone. I think that might be the next big thing in the space.
nice.
Zoom has a phone system, and they just purchased last year one of the largest publicly traded contact call centers.
That's awesome. That's
So,
huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
Yeah.
So take a look at that. I think you'll get excited about that over a little old 8x8 back in the day.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I use them too. They've been around a long time. So let's talk about the last lead source. Thank you guys so much. You guys having fun?
Always have fun.
So much.
By the way, I love how you're standing. I feel so lazy sitting. You guys are standing up and like engaged in the interview, which is great. All right. The last one is agent to agent referrals. Now, do you get listings from agent to agent referrals?
A lot.
How in the world do you get listings from agent to agent referrals?
Well, so, I mean, if a person is moving to, say, Florida, right?
Mhm.
Often they're selling their home in Massachusetts to move to Florida.
So they opt in on a website in Florida. They talk to the buyer's agent and it's like, hey, person to sell, and they contact you.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah. So for us, agent to agent referrals are marketing it's a lead source and we nurture it and it's nurturing the relationships with the other agents, right? Very similarly to how we nurture lead sources for anything else, building relationships through giving value, doing things like this, right? If we share everything that we do and know, you know that if you send us a referral, we're going to win the business. We're going to take care of the client. The client's going to have an amazing experience and it's going to make you look like a rock star on the
Mhm.
back end. And you know, when it's a sell
Get
to
paid.
buy,
Yeah.
that we're going to make it seamless for you to work with us because communication is going to be spot on. We know what hiccups to anticipate. So we usually have these insanely smooth transitions and make it super stress-free for the agents and the sellers.
How does an agent find out about you, or what are you proactively doing to maintain and nurture relationships with agents?
I legit spend, gosh, probably 25% of my time, and it's part of my highest and best use, and Jason's too, frankly, is building relationships with other agents, whether it's through social media, whether it's through doing things like this. Like, we'll wrap up this call and we're both going to tell you and everybody watching, if you've got questions, if we can answer something, clarify it, help you implement, or whatever the case might be, call us. We'll schedule 15 or 30 minutes or link up with you. We also open our office probably once every other month, and we run a seminar up here, right? So last month we did something about recruiting for team leaders who are looking to grow their teams through recruiting agents, right? And we'll do a full day 9 to 5 seminar where we'll pay for food. We'll share with you all of the information, give you full access to our office and our staff. But we've then got you in market. You know us, you like us, you trust us, right? It's the same process that we teach the agents to get buyers and sellers to work with them. If you're an agent in Florida and you know, like, and trust us, and you're like, holy shit, I've got a client who needs to sell in Massachusetts. Who do I know?
First name comes to mind.
I'm the first one. And it doesn't, you know, what's crazy is you think of Massachusetts or you think of New Hampshire, we're small markets, right? Small itty bitty states up here. But it doesn't matter if it's our market in Mass. The number of times that I get phone calls from somebody that says, hey, I've got a client who needs to sell in Springfield. We don't cover Springfield, but you know what? We know some really great agents in Springfield. Let us make the introduction so you still know that you're being really well taken care of. Or if you're an agent at Keller Williams and you maybe are still newer or don't know anybody and you reach out through your office, hey, I have a client who needs to sell in Boston. Does anybody know an agent up in Boston? Maybe your coworker knows one of us, and we'll say, oh my gosh, you've got to call Lisa and Jason. They're, you know, amazeballs.
And what I'll tell you with that, it's super cool, is someone watching this, their drunk monkey is going to say, well, no one knows me outside of my state, or I don't have the time to go join all these groups. You don't have to, right? Those seminars that we hold, we invite people from within our market. We've gotten referrals from people that are in North Shore, right? So in Boston, we sell in Boston. We also sell here. He happened to get a referral that's 45 minutes out of the city, didn't want to drive there. And he called us right away, said, here's a seller referral. Do you want? It's like an $800,000 house. Right? So it's in market too.
Yeah, and it's coming from a growth mindset space, right?
Totally.
And it's just.
And it really had to be challenging with like training your competitors.
But you know what? Here's the reality. Out of all the shit that we just shared with you, and I'll go back to Jason's circle dialing and door knocking. How many agents watching this are full honesty going to hit all 5 of those touches on their next listing?
Now without a really good support team. Like you
Or
provide.
maybe 10%, right?
Yeah.
And then how many are actually going to follow up and do it with their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th listings? By the time we get to the 5th listing, I guarantee maybe 1 person is still implementing that, right? And it's sad but true, right? We'll share with you all the knowledge and give it to you. But you know, the other reason that we do it, full honesty, even in market, it's a recruiting opportunity for us, right? We've got the support, we've got the skill, we've got the knowledge. And if we can share with you the knowledge to build your team with us, right? Why not join us and build a team with us and let us help you? If you're a solo agent selling 10 houses a year, but need a little bit extra support, and we can show you what we've got here for support in that respect, and we can get you to selling 30 or 40 houses a year, why not join us so that we can help you get there, right? We can take over everything that we've just talked about with all that Google stuff, right? It costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I bet at this point, agents just come over and say, can I work for you? I mean, do you get that?
Sometimes, yeah. I actually have a phone call right after this with an agent who's basically said the same thing. I'm a new mom. It's a little bit tough. I don't know how to juggle it all. I'm ready to join a team. And you're the first one that I think of because I see your content on social media, right?
That's awesome.
So, I mean, that's why, right? But so recruiting, or whether it's those agent to agent referrals, you just think of us. And some of it becomes so shared, right, throughout, that even just like a social media post in Lab Coat Agents, right? Great Facebook group with thousands of agents as members of that. One post there can be seen by 1,500 people.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that the mistake that agents make trying to work for agent to agent referrals is posting in a group like lab coat agents or anything else and
Just
say,
took over
hey,
that.
I'm Lisa, I'm from Boston, send me your referrals.
Don't do that. Stop.
It's horrid, right?
Yeah.
And it's little things, right? Like I think back in, I don't know, what was it? Maybe 2019, we did a Keeping It Real together. And one of the things that we talked about was being true to yourself, right? And when you are able to put out there who you are, then people respond to that and they want to work with people who are really true to themselves. So whenever I'm outside of market, whether I'm at an event, like when you and I just bumped into each other in Nashville, right? What was I handing out? Little shots of liquor with like business cards on them that were kind of quirky, right? Give us a shot and we'll give you two. Like you're never going to forget me as the chick who gave you 2 shots of Fireball and a light up shot glass, right? And chatting with like, I went to lunch with somebody different every day, had coffee with somebody different every day, had breakfast with somebody different every day, dinner with 5 different people every day, and just chatted and shot the shit. No pun intended.
Jason, Lisa, this was incredible. I asked you guys to come on in here for about an hour and share what you're doing to get listings in a low inventory market. And you shared your top 5 things. I think anyone can take away right now, if you're generating buyer leads, slowing down and seeing if they want to sell what we talked about. That's for a lot of people here. And the circle prospecting door knocking system, anyone can take those things. The other ones take some money or time or brand to build up over time. Those are 2 very actionable things our audience can take. So I want to say thank you so much. How does someone reach out to you with a referral? Lisa, Jason.
We're both on Instagram. Mine is Lisa Chinatti. Yours is Jay Posnick. We're both on Facebook under our names, or you can type in our website or our YouTube channel and you'll find your way to us.
I'm sure it'd be easy to find.
Question, if you want our scripts, whatever, reach out.
Great. Thanks, guys. So we'll wrap it up. That's our Keeping It Real. You can watch the replay on YouTube on the Real Geeks YouTube channel. And you can also go to keepingitreal.com to watch. And we'll keep you updated of new interviews coming forward. And hopefully you guys learned some good things. And Jason, Lisa, thank you so much for your time today.